welcome back to the Sherwood Urban Farm. My name is Bridget, and in today's video I want to show you my favorite vegetable of the season, Chinese cabbage. I have grown a number of brassicas this season, and at the moment they are completely infested with aphids. I have tried regularly to spray them off with a jet, with that flat setting on the hose fitting, but they're so persistent. I harvested a beautiful head of broccoli and it was just infested. I tried to soak it and get rid of them, but they were just so in all those little florets, I had to eventually just give it to the chickens. So I'm a bit discouraged, to say the least. And in previous years, I've also tried your heading cabbage, regular cabbage. And then they grow and they're beautiful, and I cut them open and then they're just full of slugs. And the other thing is they're bitter. So I'm going with the Chinese cabbage now. I have harvested one, and now I also read I can cut and come again. So I'm harvesting continuously from the Joy Choi that I have in the garden at the moment, but which is also part of the Chinese cabbage family. But what I'm going to plant today is just your regular Chinese cabbage. So I'm going to clean out these beds, and then I'm going to show you how I plant up Chinese cabbage. Okay, so these are the beds that I'm going to use. They have this grass on, which I put in summer, thinking that this would keep the soil nice and moist and cool, but all it did was bring in the little slugs and snails, so I have a problem with that. And then here are the brassicas I was telling you about. I mean, this one is gone to seed now, but that's fine, the broccoli. But these ones over here, I mean, let me just show you. Look at that. It's just of the aphids. Anyways, even these. Look at that. Oh, come on, focus. Just so disgusting. Anyway, so I'm going to take all of this out. I'm even going to take those out. They had just seen better days long ago. So I'm going to harvest those as well. Well, not harvest. I'm just going to go give it to the chickens. But here as well, I have that grass. And then there's some volunteer potatoes. But I'm not going to try and keep those. I'm just going to put in something that I know is going to grow. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rake all this grass off, because this is just harboring those little snails. And I thought it was a good idea. I mean, it did keep the soil nice and moist, but at the cost of losing most of my crops, or they were just damaged. So then, next thing I'm going to do is top dress with some compost. This is homemade compost. I don't need a lot, just about 2 centimeters on the top, and that will do. It's ready to help the microbial life underneath the soil. So I'll rake that across. One must always remember that we are not feeding the plants, but feeding the soil, because the soil will feed the plants. With all the little bacteria and mycorrhizal fungi and whatever, they've got a system in place where they will know what each plant needs. So I don't need to think, oh, this is a heavy feeder, or this one likes this, or that one likes that. If I'm feeding the soil will sort out the plant, no matter what I'm planting in here. Now, I like to plant with a little trowel instead of using a dibber. I sometimes use a dibber, but this is quite clay, the soil. And then I find I'm just squishing the soil. I'm just compacting it, actually. So what my preferred method is, the reason why this is clay, that's not clay, those beds, the old beds of the original garden. The new beds are clayish because I brought in soil which had a heavy clay base. And the reason I did that was because here in Port Elizabeth, most of our soil is quite sandy. And so I wanted to increase, just make it a little bit more clay based to retain the moisture, and also clay is very high in nutrients. So that's why I've got that now. But anyways, I don't use the dibber now. But I just sort of pull it apart. I pull it to one side. Oops, there goes a little earthworm. And dig my hole. It's really just moving the soil to one side. These are what I used when I did a talk on growing your own vegetables, a workshop. And I had given the ladies that attended that workshop, each could take a couple of these. So this is a newspaper little planter, almost like a paper pot, but it is a paper pot. And I'm going to plant them up in this bed, and then in that bed I'm going to use the ones that I have in the trays in the greenhouse. And I'm going to see how it goes. I'll do a little bit of a comparison, because in theory the paper should just decompose and the roots will be able to just go through it. I mean, I've seen roots going through little pieces of wood, so surely they can go through a little bit of newspaper. So the idea is then I just shove it in like that. I did a little thing on Instagram. I don't know if you guys have seen online, you get those paper plot transplanters or planters or whatever it is. And it looks amazing, but I mean, it's really going to be overkill in my garden. So if you're farming your whole back garden and you've got rows of things, then that's amazing. Just pulls these little seedlings in. It's great. So then I did a little Instagram reel of no paper pot transplanter, no problem. You make these little things. So it's nice because you don't have to fight with it to get out of the, oh, there I'm actually digging a bit, to get it out of the little tray, the seed tray. You just lift it up and leave the one next to it behind, and then squish it in there. Happy days. So I'm planting mine, I think it's quite close. It's about 20 centimeters, but I want them to be quite tight, because the others I planted about 30 centimeters apart, and then the leaves tend to sort of flare a bit. So I'm hoping if I have them quite close, then they will have a blanching effect on the stems, and then they will also maybe grow a little bit tighter. We'll see. Take a look at this. This is my little paper pot. Make my holes, and then I can just close it up like that. I don't know if I'll do it again. I just did this really for that workshop. Can't reach there now, but push it down a bit, and there they are. Look at that. The other thing is they don't take up a lot of space. I mean, how many have we got here? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. 21, sorry, bad counting. 21 little plants in this space. You would probably only be able to fit 4 maybe of the regular cabbage in here, and they take so long to grow. Oh my hat. These are amazing. They grow so fast. So with this bed, I'm going to just twist out the kale and the broccoli plants so that most of the roots stay behind. I must say that is easier said than done. Anyways, I try to keep as much roots in the ground as possible, because there are other creatures that eat it down there, so it's good for them. So I'm just going to rake up the grass that I put down, and then over there I've got some succulents that I'm going to leave, and there's a volunteer potato that I'm not going to leave. It's not going to grow now. They give me false hope, these volunteers. Right, and just do a little top dressing of homemade compost. This I only do once a year. But what has taken most of my compost this season are my raised beds. But that is so worth it. And rake it evenly over the surface. I went to get my other little trowel. This one is it's a Garden Master one. There's a little plastic one, but I like it because it's got a nice sharp nose to it. And it's got the measurements on it, which is also quite cool. So this time, I'm going to use the little seedlings that are raised in the greenhouse. These are almost exactly a month old. I planted them. Actually, it's only 3 weeks old on the 27th. Today is the 22nd. So it's more or less a month. Or 3 weeks, whatever. Okay, but I mean, look at that growth. That's how fast these things can grow. The other ones are smaller because they were transplanted and I waited long before I pricked them out and put them in there. But these ones I pricked out first, and you can see the growth. And they're in these tiny, the 6 cell, I mean, these are they are in the 12 cell trays. Oh, look what's here. Oh, that's nice. Sweet potatoes. I thought that plant didn't give any sweet potatoes. Oh, okay. It's one sweet potato. I'll have it. I'll plant them a little bit deeper than where their stem is. Because it seems to work well. Then they're not floppy. They're a little bit floppy. But if I stick them in a little bit deeper, then that works quite well. I'm going to put row covers on these beds to protect them from the aphids. I haven't had aphids on the other ones, but I'm not taking chances because there was a lot of aphids in this bed with all those brassicas that were in here already. So I'm sure they will like these brassicas too. Anyway, so I'm going to use these pipes, or plum pipe. It's 15 millimeter, and I found it works great. So I'll show you how I stick these in the ground and then just cover it up. Now, this is not proper agricultural row covers, netting. I actually can't find any unless I'm going to buy a whole like 60-meter roll or something like that. So this is actually chiffon. It's not going to last very long in the elements, but I got it for free from my aunt who had made table runners or something with it. So I stitched them all together so that it's big enough. Anyway, so this will do. I had put you on a time lapse, but it didn't quite work. So anyway, here it is. It's covered now, and this should protect it now from any kind of flying insect. Look at that. And there's an aphid already trying to get in. And there's one of those flying ones that lay the eggs. So I'm really hoping this is going to do the trick. Well, I hope this has inspired you to grow your Chinese cabbage now and enjoy in stir fries. I made a coleslaw last night, and there's a variety of things that you can do with Chinese cabbage. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please share and like and subscribe. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about Chinese cabbage. Do you prefer that to your regular cabbage? And how do you keep the aphids off of your cabbages and broccoli?